Hello everybody, RinnyPie here, and welcome to another episode of First Impressions. Today we're going to be talking about Too Hard 2 Dungeon Travelers. Now, this game is actually a port of a 2013 release on the PlayStation Portable. Now, I'm not going to go any further into the background because there's just too many to talk about. So let's just go straight into the gameplay and the storyline. So, in this story, basically the characters of Two Hearts is thrown into an RPG-style world. And their only way back home is to defeat the final boss. The player assumes the role of Takaaki Kono. However, they do not control him. Instead, Takaaki acts as a bridge between the girls of the game and the player. Now, before we start going into gameplay, let's look at some of the options within the game. Now, in the main menu, you have the selection of starting a new game, continue, special, and options. Now, in the options, it allows you to change different sound settings, the voice settings, how fast your character moves, and how fast you want the attack animations to be. The special option allows the player to check up on some of the CGs they have collected, some of the events they have gone through, and generally overall things that you have seen within the gameplay. Keep in mind that the CG you are going to be collecting in the game will be kind of racy. There's no full-on nudity, but there is, well, you know, girls being put up in pretty interesting positions. But yeah, that's what the 15 plus ratings on the game is for. This is not a game for little children. This is a game for teenagers and adults. The game uses classic dungeon crawler mechanics. The player goes into a dungeon. He or she starts moving in the dungeon. He or she encounters an enemy. You fight the enemy. You gain experience point. You getting weapons. And you keep doing that until you reach the end of the dungeon. The characters uses HP and TP as health points and skill points. However, every time you finish a battle, your health point and skill points will not regenerate unless you're wearing special gear, which makes gearing up very, very important in the game. And much of the game, you'll find yourself trying to collect items. Occasionally, you may meet a dungeon seller. Ooh, yeah. This person sells various things in the dungeon like weapons and food. Sadly, just having these items in your inventory will not help you. You need to go to a shop like this one in order to inspect the weapons and armor in order to use them. The overworld you see here allows you access to dungeons, the shop, a guild hall like the one you're seeing right here. In the guild hall, it allows you to form up your party. You acquire different characters throughout your travels, and basically you can change up your formation to whatever you want. This game also has something really interesting within it called the class change, as well as a class reset. Unfortunately, I am unable to show you the class change because I do not have a character on hand at the time of filming, allowing me to show you this. The class reset is a way to change up your character classes, as well as resetting your characters if you ever mess up. This gives the game a lot more versatility in terms of how you build up your classes. Now, what you're seeing here is me about to reset the class and level of my Dark Knight. The selection I took was to relevel her back to 1 for me to train her back up to level 15, which was the first threshold in class change. So as you see right now, she is back to a fighter class. The game does have a quest system, however, it's mostly fetch quests and you can only have 2 activated at one time. However, during the footage, I was able to unlock a special area on the map after completing a selected quest, which allows me to believe that there will be more areas as I play more. Of course, at this point, my level is just not high enough to fight in this particular area. Woo-wee! Okay, so finally I can go off script, and so there's gonna be a lot more stumbling and a lot more just weird stuff going on. So, how do I feel about this game? I thought it was quite interesting. The game is quite fun in terms of a dungeon crawler. You know, keep in mind, I don't play a lot of dungeon crawlers. At most I played is I played quite a few, but most of them are nothing but the Queen's Blade series on the PlayStation Portable, which is really, really awesome. Anybody who has a PSP, go get Queen's Blade series. Of course, keep in mind you have to be around 15 or 16 years old or older. The game is it has a lot of nudity. The game revolves around stripping enemies of their clothes and all that stuff. So keep in mind it has that mechanics on Queen's Blade Spiral Cross and Queen's Blade. I've also had experience with dungeon crawlers in terms of Criminal Girls and Dieto Blacksmith, which is an extremely fun game for the PlayStation Vita. Which kind of shows my biases because both of these games are made by a company called Nippon Ichi. For those who don't know, they are probably the masters of the weirdest games ever. One of my favorite from Nippon Ichi is Zettai Heroes Project, which is, I think, it was for the PlayStation Portable, I think. And it is really, really hilariously fun. I suggest anybody who can manage to get one, get it. Because I remember it did release in the US. It's really, really funny. Of course, I am well aware that the U.S. reception for Criminal Girls is not all that great, but unfortunately, I do think it mostly comes down to the market differences between the U.S. and Japan and Asia. You know, Japan and Asia, we're a lot more accepting of dungeon crawlers. It is a really big market here, and while in the U.S., I don't think dungeon crawlers is all that much love. I think another problem came from censorship because in the US, it's really interesting how you can have a huge amount of blood and still have it, a T-rated game. And the moment you show a little skin, it's just like, oh my god, it's a mature game. But yeah, that's for another rant maybe sometimes this year. To be honest, I think the gaming industry really is kind of there's some problems with the gaming industry right now, and yeah, I'll save it for another rant later on this year, I guess. But until things become a little better. But yeah, overall, I think this game is pretty good. In terms of the class selections and all that stuff, the differences in class does feel like it's weighted properly. You have different classes like the Bard, the Magician, who are, well, the Bard is basically a support type, meaning, she's pretty much being used for healing, regenerating TP and all that stuff. And you have offensive classes, highly offensive classes like Magicians, Dark Knights, and all those, and building your characters correctly is really important. It also comes down to whatever weapon you've acquired throughout your travels that helps. This brings me to the conclusion. Well, I think this game should be warranted, a look at for those who like dungeon crawlers. Do not buy this if you do not like dungeon crawlers. Seriously. These are kind of a niche market for players who just like mindless games. Walk around in a dungeon, kill the enemies. Oh, okay, so I need to go back to town to inspect these items because I only have a 20 slot inventory. And overall, it's quite fun for me. It was quite fun for me, and I felt like, while I did constantly want to go back to Dieto Blacksmith or Criminal Girls, it did provide me with quite a bit of entertainment, and I recommend it to anybody who likes dungeon crawlers in the Too Hard 2 series, I guess. So, I guess that's all. Have a nice day, nice night wherever you are. I'm going back to work. So, goodbye. Have a good day. Oh, by the way, if you have any questions involving this game or any of the games I've covered prior to this video, please send me a comment or send me a message on Twitter or email. So, have a nice day, nice night wherever you are. All right, another deja vu moment. So, goodbye.